The next patient's talk is entitled the Standing Up to Cancer. And it will be given by Mr. Gareth Honeybone, who's really keen to give his perspective on challenges and wins, small and big, during his journey. Thank you. So this is...
Okay, thank you to Helen and the MF team for inviting me here to speak today. My name is Gareth, and I'm here to speak about my experiences of being diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma. As well as being a patient, my work involves being sat at the other side of the desk. I'm training to be a maxillofacial surgeon with an interest in mouth cancer. I wanted to try something a little bit different for my presentation today, so instead of wordy slides, I'm going to show a series of photos that tell the story of the different aspects of my life. I'm 29, I grew up in Doncaster, and family has always been important to me. On the left there is my little brother, who's now not so little and he's bigger than me. My granddad's on the right, who's always a big inspiration. He passed away when I was 15, but I still have strong memories and wish he could see me now and what I've achieved. Life is full of everyday challenges. Whether you're battling cancer or just trying to catch a train, life is often a challenge. The quote, "These things are sent to testers," is often said to me. Whoever is sending these tests, I just ask them, can you please stop? I always did well at school and with exams, just with a constant undertone of being a bit of a bad speller. I made it to university, where the workload and first exam was a bit of a struggle. I was subsequently diagnosed with dyslexia, and everything seemed to make sense. I was given specific techniques to revise that suited me, and I graduated, paying tribute to the Dyslexia Support Service in my graduation photo you can see behind. This was one of life's smaller challenges in comparison to what else I was diagnosed with at university. Sometimes you get difficult ones. In 2017, I presented with weight loss, severe abdomen pain, multiple visits to the toilet, and just felt generally rubbish. I saw multiple GPs. One weighed me and told me to come back in a few weeks. Another gave me Lanzaprazole and Buscopan. It wasn't until my mum found me, curled up in a ball on the sofa in pain, and she said, "This is enough, we've had enough. I'm going to take you to A&E." Here I was seen by a nurse who was the first person I felt had taken me seriously. I wish I knew their name to be able to thank her. She was very down to earth, typical dry Doncaster tone, just said, "You don't look well, love." She got me seen by the correct team, who after various cameras and biopsies, diagnosed me with Crohn's disease / non-specific inflammatory bowel disease. These are my favourite photos from this time. I was told I needed a plain diet, and the hospital kitchen obliged, serving boiled chicken, rice and potatoes. On the right, the most pointless curtain I've ever seen in my hospital room. These next three photos are more recent, taken over December 2022, January 2023. A few years before, I'd been diagnosed with primary sclerosing cholangitis, found due to abnormalities on my liver function tests. At the time, I had no symptoms, and it seemed all we were to do was just sit and monitor. This was until November 2022. I noticed some pain in the top right quadrant of my abdomen. I phoned my specialist liver nurse, who swiftly got me admitted to the ward, and over the months, I just got iller and iller. I was jaundiced, I'd lost 10 kilograms, I was itchy, I had dark urine, and worst of all, I was back on the plain diet. In February 2023, I was operated on, and they removed what was initially thought just to be a stricture in my bile duct. It came back as cholangiocarcinoma. Luckily for me, it had been fully resected, and the next step was adjunctive chemotherapy. This photo was taken in recovery. I had so many wires in me, I looked like the back of a TV. These three photos were taken over the course of a few days after I was discharged from ITU to the ward. I call them my small wins. Even though they don't look the best or there's any wins, I saw it as each day a different wire was getting removed. In the final photo you can see I look quite happy. All the wires have been taken out of me. This next photo was the day of my first hair wash. I was also considering sneaking into the kitchen to pretend to be a chef. Introduced them to something called salt and pepper to add to the boiled rice and potatoes. This was a photo of my scar a few days after being discharged. The blue plaster was actually there because there was a bit of an ooze coming, but with no context it looks about as useful as that curtain. The next few months I stayed positive and focused on the small wins. The last chemotherapy tablets I had to take is on the left, getting free spa treatments provided by the Aurora Centre in Doncaster, and an alcohol-free beer with friends. These small wins led to the big wins. On the 15th of September 2023, I was told I was cancer-free, and a week later, I was in France for a friend's wedding. On the final night of the wedding, the saxophonist had to be cancelled because they had COVID. So to make a makeshift karaoke was its replacement. A few wannabe pop stars got up and did very serious acoustic versions of songs. High on my recent good news, I decided to inject a bit of fun to the night and perform Tequila. As there's only 3 words in the song, it was more of an improv dance and crowd interaction, which went down a storm. The groom said it was his favourite moment of the whole weekend. Back in the UK, I was thinking about how I could raise money and give something back. This is when I discovered AMMF. I did a charity stand-up comedy event. After 8 weeks of training, I've always joked to cope and found humour in cancer and Crohn's. The fact everyone seems to ask you if you're well, and the British response just to say, I'm not too bad, thanks, even when you've got cancer. Here's some photos of me performing at a famous venue in Sheffield called the Lead Mill at the charity event. And on the night, I was awarded a trophy for raising the most funds, and all of the money went to AMMF. We got some media attention from local news, local radio, and the national press, which was surreal, but also quite fun. My presentation has been quite light-hearted and positive. I've had cholangiocarcinoma, but this was resectable, and I was already in the system due to the PSC and the Crohn's, which meant I was seen quite quick, but there is still some serious points. It's been mentally tough. Age 23, knowing you're seriously ill, and just being given indigestion tablets and told to see how they go. I remember sitting crying helplessly, not knowing where to turn. During chemotherapy, I was assessed over the phone by the DWP, who deemed I was showing no signs of anxiety, so didn't qualify for any support. I was unable to work for 8 months, sick pay had run out, and I was wondering, how am I going to pay for my mortgage? After my operation, I was discharged on the Thursday by the surgeon, who told me they'd see me the following Tuesday to remove my drain. I phoned the ward clerk on Friday just to confirm that this was all booked in, and I was told what I'd said was not true, and I'd have to wait a few weeks for an appointment to come through. I came off the phone and uncontrollably cried like I never had before. It was probably all the emotion of the surgery coming out. Thankfully, my brother phoned up clinic on the Tuesday and was told the surgeon did want to see me and I should just turn up. I'm quite a rational person, but now every slight pain or stitch seems to be a concern, and I fear the worst. Just last week, my routine tuber marker bloods were significantly raised, which led to an urgent CT, which thankfully showed no signs of recurrence. But I'm now waiting for a PET scan and further tests just to confirm this is true. I found humour as a way to cope, but my take-home message is having cancer is hard. There's days where I'm scared, but I live life to the full, and thank you to the surgeons, oncologists, nurses, and everyone that has made this possible. For me, make it possible for me. Thanks to AMMF, cholangiocarcinoma is being recognised, and the research is very, very exciting and what we can do. Keep up the good work, and thank you for listening to me.